This is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and who knows the path of peace. Let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, not burdened with duties, and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm and wise and skillful, not proud and demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove, wishing in gladness and in safety, may all beings be happy. Whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born, may all beings be happy. Let none deceive another, or despise any beings in any state. Let none through anger or ill will wish harm upon another, even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child. So with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upwards to the skies and downwards to the depths, outwards and unbounded, freed from hatred and ill will, whether standing or walking, seated or lying down, free from drowsiness. One should sustain this recollection. This is said to be the sublime abiding, by not holding to fixed views, the pure-hearted one, having clarity of vision, being freed from all sense desires, is not born again into this world.
Thank you, Venerable. I'll just stop the screen share and over to you.
Okay. So earlier I was just thinking what to talk about tonight, and there's many things that come up and little stuff. But I think we'll start off with a joke, with a funny joke. That's Ajahn Brahma. So I don't know if you guys have heard Mullah Nasruddin. He's a famous Persian mystic, Sufi mystic from the Middle East, in the mystic tradition. And one of his story was one night that is, the Mullah Nasruddin, he was looking for something under a lamppost, at night. So he was searching for something, and then his neighbor came by, and Mullah Nasruddin, what are you looking for? Maybe I can help you. And then so he said, I'm looking for my key. I've lost my key. And so the neighbor asked, so where did you lose it? I lost it in the house. So why are you here looking under the outside? Oh, the lighting is better out here. So that's a joke for you all to start off with tonight. Yeah. So I think tonight's topic would be Sukhino Samadhi Ati. I think Ajahn Brahms mentioned that a lot of times, and it means from happiness the mind becomes still. So samadhi comes from happiness. So if you're a happy person, you put joy and happiness into your life, whatever you're doing, and then when you sit down to meditate, the mind become still very quickly, very quickly. So, how do you generate happiness? What kind of things we should do in life, or what we can do in life to enhance our meditation? So there's many things we can do. There's generosity in, services that we can do in life, helping with maybe the Red Cross or volunteering at the hospital, at the hospice. Selfless giving, giving without expecting anything in return, just freely giving and happy to do so. And that brings a happiness of generosity that brings into the mind. You just, I think one of the things Ajahn Brahm said, if you're depressed and you have anxiety or you're really feeling miserable, go out there and do some service. Serve. And that's probably one of the best remedies for depression or anxiety out there. It just gives you a bit of happiness there. Yeah, so generosity. Having good friends also another one. Like where we're here now, we're gathering with good friends all over the world, sharing Dhamma together. So having good friends to encourage each other, uplift each other, sharing information, but just being together, that also creates a very happy energy. Just, I can see that you guys are very happy every Tuesday that you're coming together and, having little side conversations and, a bright, happy face on the screen. I can see that. So that good Kalyana Mita, a good friendship in the Dhamma, it's very important, very important. And the Buddha said good friendship is, one time Ananda, Venerable Ananda said to the Buddha, good friendship is half of the holy life. And then the Buddha said, no, Ananda, no. Good friendship is 100% of the holy life. 100%. That's a big statement when I heard that. I was like, how is good friendship 100%? Usually you think, oh yeah, maybe 75%, or 50%, but it's because having good friends, meaning being conditioned by your good friends to do good things. So if you hang out with good people, you're conditioned by them to do good things. Like, me being around Ajahn Brahm, he conditions me by just being around him. Such his vibe, his character really influences me and how I live my life. So I think that's what the Buddha was talking about, the conditioning that we affect each other and one another. That's 100% of the holy life. So it's not to be underestimated. So to be good friends with good people is very, very important. And so that's another aspect of happiness and joy that we can put into our life. Friendship, good friendship, generosity, and also virtue, sila, not harming ourselves and not harming other people. So that's a brief in the 5 precepts or the 8 precepts. But mainly the heart of the precepts are basically just not harming ourselves and harming other people. So if we're doing something like, taking alcohol, sometimes people think, oh yeah, I'm drinking alcohol, but I'm not harming anybody. But you are harming other people. You're harming yourself. If you're harming yourself, your family members, like your parents or your brother, sister, or your spouse, they're hurt by seeing you miserable. You're like, oh, this person, he's not doing so well. And so your parents will be very hurt by seeing that you're harming yourself, taking drugs and alcohol, by doing immoral acts. You're harming yourself, you're harming your parents, you're harming your friends, you're harming your community. You're bringing them down on one level, but some people don't really see that. They think, oh yeah, they're separate. I'm just harming myself. That's okay. I can do what I want. But actually, no, you're harming others as well. So that sila, that virtue, is also if you're keeping sila and virtue, you tend to see that you're more happy, that you're a more happy person over a long period of time because you're not harming yourself or other people. So that's another aspect of happiness. Sila, generosity, good friendship. Anyone else can think of anything else that's part of happiness that we can put into our life? No, let's see.
Well, do please feel free to answer or put an answer in the chat.
Sure. Yeah, just having that. Also, the Brahma Viharas, the mudita, joyous, being glad that others people are doing well. Like myself, I see my parents are growing in the Dhamma, they're starting to meditate, they're doing well. So when I see that the other people that are doing well in my life, I get very happy. I'm like, wow, wow, there's so much happiness out there. I'm so happy that my friends and family are benefiting from these teachings. That for me being a monk, it actually is, I'm doing something very useful for my family by being a monk. And not just like, oh yeah, he's just escaping life and he's not doing anything and just hide away in the monastery and not being a service to anybody. So that joyous, seeing the goodness in people, seeing that they're growing and happy, also brings a happiness into your heart. So that's one of the Brahma Viharas, mudita, being joyous, celebrating other people's happiness. And then also the metta, the kindness and compassion for other people, seeing that other people are in the same boat as you are in this world, living life, have to going through the same process we are. Growing up, middle-aged, and then growing old, and then decaying, and then passing away, and sort of seeing that commonality in humanity, saying like, yeah, even though people might be somewhat different, we're not all that different. We're still in the same boat. Some are richer, some are more poor, or whatever. They might be more beautiful, more ugly, but in the end, we are going toward the same place. We're in the same boat. So seeing that, you have a bit of more compassion for your fellow mankind. So that way, that's the compassion, the kindness also. It lifts the heart up. It makes the heart more open, more seeing the commonality that we have with each other. So that's also another way of opening up to that happiness in the world. And seeing that, yeah, there's the ups and downs in life sometimes. It's not always going to be happy. Things are not always going to go well all the time. That's just part of life. That's just called, Ajahn Brahm says, asking from life what it can never give you. Asking always to have happiness and not suffering, that's impossible. So if we understand that, we can sort of like be more equanimous when times are tough. We're like, oh yeah, this is par for the course. I think I can use this to, better myself. Some wisdom will arise. So, any more suggestions or anything about happiness that we can generate happiness?
Yeah, yes, but we have some comments, Venerable, in the chat here, so I'd like to read them to you.
Sure.
Firstly, what was the Pali phrase you started with from Ajahn Brahm?
Sure, it's called Sukhino Samadhyati. So Sukhino means happiness. Samadhyati is like the mind becomes still. That's one translation. Sukhino Samadhyati. So that means from happiness, the mind becomes still. That's a Pali phrase. It's in the sutta somewhere. But it was stuck with me. He used to teach that a lot back in, 5-10 years ago. But then sometimes it comes up. He goes, oh yeah, that's true. Suddenly, how come my meditation is taking off today? And I wonder why. Oh, because I had a good day. I was happy. So the meditation just takes off. So, these reminders, these teachings they're very useful.
And we have some other comments too, Venerable. Gratitude.
Gratitude, oh, exactly. Gratitude towards what we have in life. I mean, sort of like gratitude and contentment sort of go together. If you're grateful for what you have, you'll be contented with what you have. And when you're contented and you sit down and meditate, the mind basically becomes still, leaps into happiness very quickly. So gratitude is very important, actually. I do use that as part of my meditation or contemplation to help the meditation. So instead of asking for more things, like, oh, I could have a better food today, or I have better robe or clothing, I say, oh, these are, wonderful, the food that I'm given as a monk is great. It's, it's from metta, from loving kindness that people bring food for us. And if you're grateful for that, then, you probably have a better meal or a place to live, even a roof over your head. Some people don't have that. They're on the streets. We don't have food, a place to live, what else? Clothing, and medicine, just the 4 simple things. And if you're grateful for just having the very basic, simple, not anything fancy, and if you can really get into that gratefulness, how people bring that to you or how you obtain that, you're just like really, really, you'll be very happy. Another good quality to develop, and yeah.
And we have also the Noble Eightfold Path.
Oh, the Noble Eightfold Path. That's definitely something very, very, precious. So without the Eightfold Path that the Buddha rediscovered, we would be in very big trouble. Without the Four Noble Truths, the Eightfold Path, we'd be very confused. For myself, I would be very confused, because before I discovered Buddhism, or the practice of meditation, I was very confused in my life. I didn't know what, I was just drifting along with what general society was going through. Yeah, you're expected to go to school, do good in school, then you'll be happy. Finish your elementary school, then middle school, and then high school, and then university, and then so you're sort of drifting along. People say, yeah, if you do this, I'll be happy, but you'll be happy, but you never are happy, and then after a while you're like, wow, what's this life all about? Like people say, oh yeah, if you do this, you're happy, you get married or you get a house, and you look around, I look at my neighbor, I'm like, oh, he has a house, he has a wife, he has kids, but does he look happy? You're like, he doesn't look happy. So that's when I started questioning, there must be something else out there. People telling you that, but it doesn't look very, it's not promising. So that's why I sort of kind of pursue the monastic path. I'm like, let's try something very different and see if it works or not, because everyone else is doing the same thing and it doesn't seem to work. So then, when I got into the practice or the Noble Eightfold Path, it's a way out. It's a way of happiness. And without that, without the Buddha actually teaching that, we would be very in trouble, because we don't know anything else from what society has taught us and conditioned us to believe. And some people, they turn to drugs, alcohol, and entertainment. But even those things, after a while, it wears out. It becomes very, it might be fun in the beginning when you indulge in these senses when you're young, but when you're about 40 and 50, and then these kind of alcohol or drugs or entertainment starts to become, numbing. Like it's not getting that pleasure when you first start. But yeah, so it doesn't work anymore. After a while, you realize there must be something more than that. When you're young, you believe in that sensual world. You think that will give you happiness, but when you grow older, you see the drawbacks of sensual pleasure. It will make you depressed if you indulge in, entertainment, any of the sense pleasures. The more you indulge in them, you're basically borrowing happiness, and then you have to pay it back with depression and other negative consequences. So yeah, so the Noble Eightfold Path, yeah, that's a good one.
Also, we have ethical living.
That's a virtue, basically virtue, sila, not harming yourself and harming others. Yeah, the 5 precepts, basically. And so we got a few more minutes. Okay, so let's go over the precepts. Refraining from killing living beings. refraining from lying, refraining from stealing, refraining from sexual misconduct, and refraining from alcohol. So alcohol is fairly straightforward. Drugs or alcohol, non-medicinal ones. Killing, that's pretty obvious. Killing any beings. Lying, that's obvious. What else? Lying, stealing, that's a big one. That's the law, is against the law. And sexual misconduct, that's a little bit more vague maybe for some people. But I think what the Buddha meant is not committing adultery. You have a partner, and you don't cheat on them, go with another partner. I think that's probably the main one, but it also can go into other areas. So by keeping the 5 precepts, in my experience as a layperson, it's just kind of flow naturally. When you first start, maybe you start with just the easy ones, and then eventually you see the benefits of those, keeping the precepts that you can do, and then you want to keep more. You keep this maybe 1 or 2, and you go, oh wow, I'm a lot more happier that I don't drink alcohol, or I don't kill living beings. And then suddenly you go, oh yeah, I want to take on more precepts. I'll stop lying. I'll be more honest. And then I guess up to a certain point, when you start meditating more, you even keep not eating in the afternoon, because I found that was helpful for my meditation. And it's not really harmful to anyone not eating in the afternoon. It's just basically to help you become more simple, and for meditation to take off a bit more restrained, but also keeps your evening from, being busy eating and cleaning up, and just you're so full that you can't meditate. Usually when you eat in the evening, you get a little bit lethargic. So, yeah. So that's the sila. All right. So I think it's almost time for meditation. Is it?
That would be excellent if you'd like to begin, Venerable.
Okay. So So Sukhi no Samadhyati. So, focusing on the positive of your day. So reminding you what went right in your day. So I'll turn off the lights here real quick, and so we can do the guided meditation. So I'll start off with just the body sweep, like I usually do. So find a comfortable position, a nice chair, on the couch, on your favorite cushion, cross-legged or not. But sit in a way that you can hold yourself fairly stable and still for about 30 minutes, yeah? And so you start off with making sure have a good position, sitting comfortably. And so you start off with closing your eyes. So that way you can tune into your inner world. The inner world, sort of leaving the 5 sense world behind and tuning into the inner world. Take a moment to just kind of feel your inner world. How are you doing? And so, when you're turning inwards, looking for that quiet space that's already there within. And spend a little bit of time to feel that quiet space And that's where you center yourself on that. Feeling that quiet, centered space. Centering yourself. And then you move to the body. So see how your body's moving, how it's doing. You start off with your toes and feet, making sure they're placed in a comfortable position. And so being kindful to it, giving it some kindful attention. Because most of the time we're not very kindful to our body. So feeling our toes. Wiggle your toes. How are you doing toes? And feet. And then moving up to your ankles. Moving that a little bit. Giving it a stretch. Relaxing it. Allowing it to be at ease. And relaxing it. And then moving up to your shins. Up to your shins. How's that feel? Your calves. Relaxing that. Moving up to your knees. Usually our knees are very used during the day, very tight maybe. You do a lot of bending up and down, walking up and down the stairs. Our knees are actually quite stressed during the day if you do a lot of walking and physical work, supporting our weight. So be kind to your knees. Give it extra attention. And then try feeling the back of your knees. That's a spot that's very rarely paid attention to. The back of the knees. And then moving up our thighs. Relaxing that. Moving up to our buttocks. If you do a lot of sitting during the day in the office, you might want to stretch your buttocks somehow. It gets numb after a while. It's too much sitting. So, being kind for the buttocks and aligning them in a comfortable way. And moving up to our groin area. And giving it a bit of kindfulness. Moving up to our intestines area, sort of like near the belly button, but below the belly button. Relaxing that part where all the food is stuck there. So giving that a bit of kindness. So you have good digestion. And then to the stomach also. Relaxing your stomach. For those who have stomach problems. Moving up to the ribs, your ribs area. And moving up to the center of the chest, the middle of the body. Relaxing that. Moving up to your breasts and chest area. A lot of tensions and stress usually resides there. Spending some time in the chest area. Relaxing it. Relax. Sabah. When you relax your chest, you can feel the breathing. It's more expansive, more oxygen gets through there. And moving up the chest, closer to the collarbone, and then to the shoulders. That's definitely where all the stress would be. It's very tight. It usually gets extremely tight if you've been stressed. So spending a moment to kind of wiggle your shoulders, kind of relaxing them, giving it a stretch, being kind to it. And then your arms, moving down to the arms, relaxing your arms, to your elbow, to your forearms, down to the wrist, and to the hands and the fingers. You work with your fingers and your hand a lot. It might be a little bit stiff and tight. So give it some metta, some kindness. Placing your hand in a comfortable, relaxed position. Allow the blood flow to go through there. Oh, that feels good. Now moving up to the neck. The neck, the throat, relaxing the throat area, the Adam's apple area. Centering your neck where your head is balanced and comfortable. Yeah? So your neck is not stiff, it's not tight, you're not controlling it, but letting it hang. Sort of letting your neck hang and balance your head. Yeah? Balanced and comfortable. Adjusting it as necessary. Give me a little bit of a stretch. And now we move up to the head. So feeling your head as a circular object, a ball, just feel how that's balanced on your neck. Just feel the head. How does that feel? How does your head feel? Relaxing any tensions that you can feel on the head area, any area, the top part, the back, any tensions. Give it some kindness. And then you move up to the front of the head, the face. And we start off with the forehead. So relaxing those muscles up there on the forehead. And to the eyebrows. The areas around the eye. Some tensions if you've been staring a lot at the computer screen. Your eyes tend to be very tight around that area. Eyeballs, sort of like move it round and round, in a circular way, move your eyeballs. So give it a bit of a, sort of like a stretch, a way to relax it. Give it a bit of a, moving your eyeballs around and around. A massage, there you go, that's a good way. Massaging your eyeballs. Oh, that feels nice. And then move down to the cheek area. See if there's any tension there. See if you can smile. Kind of relaxes the cheeks. Moving down to the mouth area. You can feel your smile smiling, relaxing the mouth area, your jaws, relaxing the jaws, not so tight, relaxing the tightness in your jaws, your chin. Inside your mouth, maybe your gums, your teeth. Giving it some attention, some caring attention. Your lips. These are the kind of places that you don't normally give attention to. But they are important. They do serve a very important function. And feeling the back of your throat, your tonsils area. See how your throat feels. Any itchiness, any sore throat. Kind of give it some kindness through your throat. Relaxing it. Caring for it. And also don't forget your nose. Try to wiggle your nose. And be kind to it. Give it some time, see if you can feel the whole body as a whole. Now we did all the parts. Now feel it as one whole thing. How does it feel? The whole body. And adjusting any parts that I've left behind that are tense or irritating. Any other parts of the body that are still not settled yet. Give it some attention and care. So, adjusting the body again, making sure that it's comfortable. And now we leave it alone. You park it like a car, leave it, put it away like a storage box, tuck it under a bed, and just allowing it to take care of itself, allowing the body to look after itself now. And then we look inside to that quiet, silent place in the mind, and center yourself there. How does it feel? How does it feel to be quiet and silent and peaceful? And looking for the beauty in that quietness. Looking for the happiness of a quiet mind. Even though some of you, the mind you might not be able to see that yet, just slowly, there might be a lot of thoughts going on. You might have a busy day, lots of things going in your life. But there's always that quiet spot. There's always the little peace there. It's always in the background somewhere. So you attend to that part of the mind. In the middle, put that in the middle of what your attention is. And allow the busyness to be on the perimeter, not at the center of your attention. But let the peace and quiet be the middle. Let all the turmoil be. Sort of like the tornado or the hurricane. Look at the eye of the hurricane and not focusing on the turmoil parts of it. And just stay there and allow that to develop all by itself. The stillness, the quiet. You will slowly start to see the happiness arising. The more still we become, the more peaceful and happy we'll develop. So just stay there and relax. Enjoy. How does it feel? Attend to the feeling parts of it. How does it feel? And if your breath comes up, you feel the breath. How does your breath feel? If it comes up naturally, the breath gives you an indication of how you're feeling based on how you're breathing. Giving your mind and your breathing some freedom. Say to yourself, the door of my heart is open to you. No matter what you do, mind, you can think about anything you like. I'm not going to try to control you. The door of my heart is open to you. Please come in. Allowing the mind to be expansive, encompassing, freeing, no boundaries. allowing the area of your heart to expand, to be free, not holding anything tightly. An attitude of forgiveness, kindness, openness, letting go. You see the happiness arising, the mind becoming more bright and still. Okay, so coming close to the end of the meditation. How do you feel? You probably notice the mind has become more calm, centered, less movement, less thinking. Less stress, tenseness, anxiety. The body has calmed down. There's a sense of freedom and happiness. Freedom, happiness. Peacefulness, happiness, clarity. So I will now ring the gong 3 times. On the third ring, please slowly come out of the meditation.
A most relaxing time, Venerable. Thank you. Very, very peaceful. Venerable, would you like to continue with your talk, or would you like to take questions and answers now?
Let's give it a little bit of a talk, continuing what I said, and kind of bringing meditation into what we've been doing. So, Sukhi no Samadhyati. Wow, what a phrase, what a phrase, what a phrase. From happiness brings stillness. You can really experience that in today's meditation. You can sort of bringing that kindness, that happiness of the body, and allowing that to calm down and putting a lot of attention and kindness into your body. A lot of us, we don't pay attention to our bodies, or we're not really kind to ourselves most of the time because we're just sort of conditioned or habitual, sort of like doing things and thinking about things and sort of not really giving the time that we need as people. And we deserve the time as people to be happy. And we can give ourselves the happiness. We can give ourselves the kindness. We don't necessarily have to look for kindness out there in the world, yeah? You don't have to look for your best friend, but actually you can become your best friend. You can give yourself the happiness. And looking back in my life, I think I learned that kindness to myself and giving that time out, to spend in nature and just hanging out with yourself, getting to know you as your own best friend. I remember that did a tremendous amount of happiness in my life. I realized I never really knew who I was. And I was always running, doing things in the world that people were expected of me, but I never really knew what this person here, who is this person? What do they want? What do they need in life? And without giving that free time to yourself, to get to know yourself, to be a good best friend to yourself, it's very important, because if you don't have that happiness, that kindness in yourself, how can you give to other people? It's almost impossible. People expect, to be kind to other people, but if we're not kind to ourselves, it's just very difficult. So giving us that free time, a lot of time to ourselves, and to do what you want to do all your life, Usually it's what other people tell you what you should be doing, but really, if you look inside, you will know what you really want to do in life, pursuing what you want to do in life, instead of like, you should do this, or you should get this, education or career or job. But really, you look deep inside of you, you will know what you really want to do in life. What is your purpose? And that's very important, in your life, to look within and to have that time for yourself. And so today sort of like kind of reminds me that to give yourself that happiness, and then that makes life more meaningful for you. That gives you the meaning in life. That stillness, that inner happiness, that clarity, that gives you a more clear seeing of what needs to be done. And it has nothing to do with thinking or, like reading books or any of that. It's just the stillness and the peace of the mind, the centeredness of the mind gives you that information. I don't really know how that works, but most of the time we're just really quiet for long periods of time, then suddenly solutions to problems arise automatically. It just comes up, and it has nothing to do with thinking or trying or forcing, but just out of that stillness and clarity arises a beauty, something very wonderful, some kind of wisdom that arises that you would never expect. You would never expect that could happen. It's sort of amazing. It's like a magic trick or some kind of, yeah. So from that happiness, there's stillness, and that stillness reinforces that happiness. And also the wisdom and the clarity that gives you clear seeing what you've actually really been looking for in all your life. You've been told what to believe. This is what you should do in life. This is what the meaning of life is. But is it really the truth for you? And everyone's slightly different, that meaning in life. And that's how you do it. That's how it arises. Okay. So now I can take questions.
That was very beautiful, thank you. I'm glad you added that to the evening, Venerable. Venerable, yes, indeed, questions. I had an image, Venerable, I'd like to share with you. I've been trying to contact my friend who lives in Saigon.
Oh.
And she had passed a comment in one of her talks about riding her motorcycle in the streets of Saigon. And suddenly somebody went through a red light that was very red, that meant about 40 to 50 people had to suddenly put on their brakes. And as she put on her brakes, she sounded her horn, and then looked around and realized that no one else was sounding their horn. And so she asked some of her students later why this was the case, and they said, "Oh, well, that person was obviously in a hurry." I thought it was a beautiful story, so I just wanted to share it.
Yes, it's very humorous, and also, some wisdom there to be learn from that. These funny stories.
Me too.
Yeah.
So is there anyone else who would like to make a comment related to meditation and Buddhism, or ask a question related to meditation and Buddhism?
So I could tell another joke if no one has any. Maybe they're still waiting. Oh, there's Gloria. Okay, Gloria.
Gloria's got her hands up. Gloria, would you like to unmute and ask?
Yes. The other day I was trying meditation. Is like the contemplation of death, because I never goes into this area before, and it kind of interests me, and I want to ask, because I was doing that in to deal with my fear, because I thought that may be useful. Yes, and then I was trying to do that, and but I just do it one time, but I want to get some advice on that. Would you recommend that to lay people, or like, do you think that it is something that better not go into, or you should do something like you settle yourself down or whatever before you go into that contemplation? Thank you.
Okay. I could share my experience with that. I'm not sure I would recommend it or not, but when I was a lay person and I was going through some anxieties, heavy anxieties about, life and what I should be doing, and it was overwhelming my judgment, because the thinking kept going round and round and round really fast. Anxiety was, over the top. And then somehow I was meditating at the time. I went on retreats and stuff, but I somehow went to the cemetery. I don't know what happened, or maybe some kind of conditioning when I heard her talk about death or anything. But I think maybe it was just reading Ajahn Chah's stuff where he would hang out in the cemetery to meditate. Yeah, so I was like, oh yeah, Ajahn Chah did that. Maybe I should give that a try and see how that works. So I've never been to cemeteries before, and I never, there's always like a taboo saying, oh, it's a bad energy, bad things if you hang out in the cemetery. But then, I took the opportunity to do that in like the spring and summer where it's beautiful, and it's like the cemetery is like a garden. So it's not so gloomy and scary like at nighttime. So I was just hanging out there it's like a park. And not many people hang out in the cemeteries because, like Ajahn Chah said, people don't like it. So I was like, yeah, I get the whole place to myself and just walk around, look at all the tombstones and stuff. And I didn't even think about contemplating death, but eventually when you hang out in the cemetery a while, you start looking at the tombstones, yeah? You start, oh yeah, this looks neat, it looks very old, or, you sort of wander around the whole place. And eventually you start reading the tombstones and start seeing like when people died or what they say about each other, and then you start to see like, oh yeah, this is sort of like the age that people died in that time. But there's also some people that die very young, which surprises me. We don't know why, but some of the sad things that people put on there. Oh, my dearest husband or my dearest love. Sort of like attachments and memories, and those bring emotions when you read it, because it's real. This is real people, real experiences of, how people deal with death, and that's sort of like the feeling arises in you. Oh wow, life is so. You instead of thinking about life, you're experiencing the death of life. A life comes and goes, and this is what happens to real people. This is not like some book or some kind of thinking contemplation. This is real. You're there in the cemetery. And then some of the pictures I remember seeing is like this couple that there's the before and after photo. So then there was the married photo. They look beautiful, handsome man, beautiful woman getting married, and then there's the photo where they're close to death. So they're all wrinkly and broken up, and I'm like, wow, this couple, they're so happy together in the beginning. Wow, and then this is what happens to people over time. And that just strikes me. I don't know why. It's just I can't really put it into words. It's just like, this is life. This is real life. This is what happens to people over time. They get married, they're happy together, really beautiful. But then in one day they will age and wither away, and then all that is left is the corpse, and then there's the tombstone. And then memories of what the children say to each other, and it sort of gives you meaning in life. It's like this is life. This is life, And the more I kept looking at the tombstones of different people who died at different times in their life, it gives you a sense of what's important in life, not in a sense of intellectual or it's a feeling that you get. And suddenly all this anxiety and all this fear about what I have to do or, it's terrible, suddenly disappeared. It's just like totally gone. And it's like incredible. It's like, I never knew about this kind of therapy, death care, death contemplation in a very different way. But it gives you perspective. You hang out in cemeteries and if you look at death, it gives you basically, it tells you what is really important in life. Is it money? Is it like getting that job or having a career or, even getting married or having a family? Is that what life is about? But once you start contemplating death, you're going to the cemetery, it gives you a different feeling. It's not anything about I can really describe, but it gives you a different perspective in life. It gives you like, hey, I better use this life carefully and in a meaningful way, that it will, because you know what's going to happen in the end. Real people, they do pass away, they do die, and some of the young people in there also die, and it just gives me like, I don't know, it just gives me a kind of feeling like what I should do in my life. What carefully more, think about what you want to do in your life. And I just like somehow, it just gives you so much meaning. Basically gives you meaning in life. Wow, it's just, it's an emotion. It's not really like, I don't know how to describe it, but basically it gives you perspective on, this is our life. We only have a certain amount of time to live. Use it wisely. Don't waste it on stupid stuff that you can't bring with you. You can't bring your wealth with you. You can't bring your money with you. You can't bring your family with you. You can't bring anything with you. When you die, you can't bring anything. So that's basically is giving me that emotion. It means you have to let everything go. In the end, you cannot bring anything with you. So what does that mean? What does that give you? It probably reprioritize what you want in life. It'll probably be spending more time with your parents, with your loved ones, and caring for them more, rather than being busy and, doing other silly stuff in life that are not very meaningful. But if you know you're gonna die like in a week's time, I think you would be more caring and kind to the people around you, especially your parents and, your family members. And that's what happened to me. I started to really spending more time with my parents and really caring for my family at that time. I was like, and that happens naturally. I didn't even think about it until now. So that's what contemplation of death would do for you if you did it in a wholesome way, and not too morbid. And if you're depressed or something, maybe I don't recommend doing that. But that contemplation done in the right way can also bring a lot of happiness and bliss coming up, because you see a clarity of what life is about, and that's good. It's okay if you do it in the right way. But if you go to the cemetery at nighttime and it's cold and scary, I don't know if that's such a good idea. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's cemetery is like a park. Yeah. It's not a scary place. Did that answer your question?
Yes, I think so. One of my greatest fears is to get my priorities straight. But thank you for your answer.
Yeah, that might scare you into doing the right thing.
Yes, I'm kind of scared of that. Yes, but thank you.
Yes, and thank you, Gloria, and thank you, Venerable. Nikki, you've got your hand up. Would you like to unmute and ask a question?
I would. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, we can hear you well.
Oh, lovely, thanks. I can't get my camera to work, so sorry, Venerable. I can't.
Okay, Nikki, just go ahead. Just go ahead.
I'll make this brief. I just wanted, because I went in the meditation when you were talking, you know, being centered and finding that place of being centered. So it reminded me, last week I was not centered, and I was walking about doing my, you know, in between working, and I fell over. I went over my ankle and actually snapped the tendon in my ankle. And this was in the middle of, this was walking around next to the road, and I was busy looking around, wondering if people noticed me. I had this thing of like, oh, are they looking at me? Do I look cool? Oh, I'm giving it some. And then, whoosh, I went over my ankle, and I was on the floor, and I was laughing.
Okay.
Because then they thought, when Ajahn Brahm talks about how Ajahn Chah used to say, you Westerners have stupid feet. And I just laughed, and I was laughing at my feet, going, you're so stupid. And then I saw, because I ended up in a hospital in the A&E, and when I went and had my foot x-rayed, and they asked what happened, and I said, so I've just got stupid feet. And then when they looked at me, they didn't know what to say to that. And then, so I've obviously had to sit down a lot since. And because I was uncentered and not at peace, really. I was too busy looking outside of the work, looking outside of myself for validation. So I sat with all that, and I sat with the process of all that. And not that it's necessary, but I liked my response where I didn't panic. I just started laughing, and that is absolutely down to the Dhamma and listening to people like you. So thank you. I guess that was more of a comment rather than a question.
No.
So it's just more of a reflection. So yeah, so thank you.
Okay, thank you for sharing.
Yes, Nikki, that was really, really beautiful. Thank you. Is there anybody else who would like to either put a question in the chat or...
Okay, last joke for before we go.
Oh, last joke.
Okay. Okay, so the same person, Mullah Nasruddin, the Sufi, he's a sort of funny character, and so he was in the Middle East, Turkey. He was going back and forth, smuggling something across the border, and with his donkey, and then two big, haystacks. So, you know, he would go back into the border and come back and forth over the borders, but they could never find what he was smuggling. Yeah? So over time, over many years, he was prosperous now and rich, and he moved over to another country in Egypt, and then the custom officer that was previously met him in Turkey, he's no longer a custom officer, so he met the mullah. He ran into him and said, "Mullah, what all those years, what were you smuggling that we could never catch you?" And so the mullah says, "Oh, donkeys." So they were looking for the stuff in the hay, you know, but he was smuggling the donkeys. Okay, so. All right, that's the last jokes before we go. And yeah.
Okay,
all right.
Would you be happy to leave us with a blessing this evening?
So sure. Okay. One last blessing. So for your peace and happiness on this night, and so here you go. Sabbaro vinimuto. Sabba santa pavajito Sabba Veramati Gando Nibuto Chatuvam Bhava Sabitiyo Vivajantu Sabbarogo Vinyasatu Mate Bhavan Dvantarayo Sukhi Dika Yugo Bhava Abhivadana Silisanichang Vadapachayino Chataro Dhamma Vadanti Ayuvano Sukhang Balang